You don't know me yet, but I'm going to help you answer that burning question on if you can get that ex back again. Coming up now. Okay, so let's get you coupled back up again with that ex of yours. I know you've watched a ton of these videos, and I'm sure you've probably tried all of those ideas, but I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not one of those instant experts with no real professional training or no real insight into having a real life. I have a 20-year career, so I'm going to give you the exact no fuss solution so that you can get going. There's a time when getting back together makes a lot of sense. And there's also times when giving somebody another chance is a little cray-cray. So the first sign that you might want to try to give your relationship a chance again is that your relationship was pretty much good. And so when you broke up, there were practical things that got in the way versus like you couldn't get along and you hated each other. It was more about timing, growing up, things like that. So if you have a love match that you want to try again and you don't have this big like traumatic history together, then that might be one of the signs that it might be a good idea for you. The next sign that your relationship just might be salvageable is you matured over time. So when you started to break up, you broke up because going away to college, because families were moving and you weren't going to be in a practical distance from this person. So when those sorts of like maturity things happen, then you grow up and you can start to reconnect. And again, we don't have this big traumatic history. So just maturing and growing up and trying again could be a really good idea for some people. The next sign that your relationship just might be salvageable is you matured over time. So when you started to break up, you broke up because going away to college, because families were moving and you weren't going to be in a practical distance from this person. So when those sorts of like maturity things happen, then you grow up and you can start to reconnect. And again, we don't have this big traumatic history. So just maturing and growing up and trying again could be a really good idea for some people. The third sign trying again might be a good idea for you is you both know the exact roles you played in your relationship. And so you're not going back into old drama. You're actually going back with insight and wisdom and a plan on how to make things better for the next time. So in that case, because you've learned, you've grown, and you formulated a plan, getting back together might be good. The fourth sign that you might consider getting back together with a partner really has to do with the absence of abuse. So when words are not used against you and forcefully abusive towards you, then you're not going to have a lot to overcome. So abuse stories can be recovered from, and you can figure out that way to mend those fences. But again, we're really talking about damage control at that point. So if you're wanting that ease of a relationship and just kind of getting to that flow, you want to make sure that abuse is not part of your story. Words can be used against you. The physical body can be used against you. It really has to do with lack of consent. So when somebody is violating your consent and using these words or using their physical body to attack you, then that is more of a toxic kind of relationship. And those are the ones, again, you can recover from. You can really mend those wounds together. But those are really, really hard relationships. It's not the ease of relationship that a lot of people are looking for. So look for that absence of yelling and things being used against you, against your will. So if you're not able to, have an opinion at all, that might be a troubling relationship. So it's something that I would give some caution to. So, the fifth sign that we might be dealing with a salvageable relationship is having a good support system that believes in the relationship. When you have people who think that the person you're with is like a douchebag, for instance, might be a name somebody would call, is when they think negative things about the partner that you're with, and maybe it's for legitimate reasons even, but when they have this negative view of them, it's going to be really hard for the relationship to overcome it, depending on how important those people are to you. If these are like parents and siblings and you've always been really, really close, then, having somebody who's not meshing well with the family, it can be like just a warning sign, not necessarily a bad thing all by itself, but just kind of pay attention to how people feel about you getting back together with somebody. It's not a good idea to get back together if you're going to have just a ton of obstacles. There's abuse there. There's all these different layers adding up. Then we add this idea of family and friend groups not really supporting it. Then it could just be one of those extra layers that make it just that much harder. Those things, though, can also be recovered from, even if it does go down that path, because you learn what the family and friends need in order to see them in a new light. And so that's how you kind of start to heal that kind of thing and moving forward. So if it's a situation where your friends are just all on board and want you to kind of restart this and rekindle this, then again, that's a sign that you might be ready to go on and do that. If you do find that family support is lacking and your friend group really, they're just not on the same page with your decision to do this, then you're going to need do a little bit of groundwork to ready your support group for what you're wanting to go through. So there is a little bit of preparation that you want to do in those kind of situations. Okay, so my final tip for getting back together with your ex and trying to make it work this time is that you really need to know exactly what was broken before the relationship ended last time. And that's not merely trying harder. Good intentions do not magically change anything. And we have to do that through hard work and intention and just being super persistent, like never giving up kind of stuff. So good intentions alone is hogwash when it comes to mending a relationship. You're never really going to be able to mend things if you're going blind. So it's super important that you know what was broken, what your side of it was, as well as the other person's side. The mistake many people make is they just do the blame game. So it's all them, 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 them. But when you're dealing with two people bonded together, it's a unit. And what we want to do with that unit is help that unit survive. And we can't do that if we can't see, if we can't like look and know what's going on and have a plan to make that better. So people leave for various reasons. Sometimes people need to leave. That's really the best case scenario for both people involved. So don't make the mistake of just trying to go forward and just trying harder this time. It's never going to work that way. You want to do that through informed wisdom, and that can be done through just insight kind of activities. It can be done through reading and absorbing content that might help you learn that, working with even a therapist or even a pastor in a faith community who has special training in that. Choose wisely, my single friend. And if you decide to couple back up with your ex again, make sure that you are doing it with your eyes wide open, and you know exactly what will need work as you move forward, because you have gone through that relationship before. You know the pitfalls that are going to be coming up in front of you, and we want to make sure that we've taken care of anything that we can foresee. So if you feel like this is the relationship to pursue, even though some of these things are going on, remember that pathways can be formed, and sometimes it does take a little help. So don't always do that on your own, especially if you've already gone down that relationship path before. You really are going to have a lot easier time at it if you have somebody that can guide you down that path. So I really do encourage you to get some help. But if the pathway looks real easy and you're kind of more dealing with those, phase of life kind of concerns that resolve themselves, then those are the kind of situations that it may be a brand new relationship. But unmended fences left unmanaged and just trying again is just not going to work. And so we want to make sure that we come up with a really solid plan before pursuing those unmended fence type relationships again. All right, y'all. See you next time.